Hello. Welcome to the Alex Gem Experience. Today's podcast is about stress. Yes, let's talk about stress, baby. Sorry about that. So, well, where do I even begin with stress? I mean, this is by far one of the most significant topics that we could ever talk about as a society. Because everyone gets affected by it in a multitude of different ways. And they could be mild forms of stress, which just means, I don't know, losing your hair or, just maybe not eating as much or eating too much. And it can also be extremely tragic and detrimental to our health, causing us to die prematurely, causing all kinds of illnesses, diseases, leading to all kinds of mental health issues, depression, and all these sorts of things. So stress is the key focus for today's podcast. So, like I said, stress is probably the most significant and meaningful reason why people suffer in life. Now, there are all kinds of reasons as to why people get stressed, and I'm going to talk a bit later on as to why people get stressed out so much, so often, how we can avoid it and so on, but that's going to come nearer the end of the podcast. So let's just focus for now on what stress means and some more of the implications of stress. So listen, like I've already substantiated enough so far, it can cause breakdowns in relationships, issues in one's careers. It creates addictions because it knocked out of homeostasis, knocked out of balance. And when knocked out of balance, become more susceptible to becoming addicted to certain feelings and substances and all these sorts of things. And in terms of our physical health, stress actually can down-regulate our genes, and this induces disease, illness, like I said. Now, chronic stress, which is stress that's experienced over a long period of time and on a daily basis, let's say, it actually causes epigenetic changes, essentially changing our gene expression, and eventually can cause things like depression and so on. So, listen, what we have to understand is that, and this is very sad, but most people spend about 70% of their lives living by the hormones of stress, which obviously dampens and ruins the quality of their lives. Now, by chronic stress, and I think one of the reasons why the statistic is so high in terms of 70% of one's life is really most of the time it's got to do with finances. And we know that the majority of people suffer with their finances, and most people work for, say, at least 70% of their life. Well, yeah, let's say 70% of their life. So it makes sense why that percentage is over 2/3. It makes complete sense, actually. But obviously, stress is not just relating to financial stress and so on and so forth. There are different types of stress. All right, let's briefly talk about that. So you've got all different types of oxidative stress. You've got stress that's caused to us because of pollutants, because of pesticides, because of exposure to too much sunlight even, and all these kind of physical exposures that happen. But we've also got things like emotional stress, work-related stress, stress in our relationships, stress in our occupation, like I mentioned. We've got dietary stress, like eating unhealthy, highly refined processed foods, very high in sugar and glucose, causing insulin resistance, relating and causing chronic inflammation, which obviously harms us, leads to diseases like I've mentioned several times already. And these are some of the key issues that stem from stress and the different types. You can increase oxidative stress through overtraining. Poor sleep can actually cause oxidative stress and help ruin and damage and harm our existing neurons, and ensuring that we don't come up with new neurons, which means we don't make progress in our life because we're not getting as intelligent and we're not learning more and we're not changing who we are, and so on and so forth. But I don't want to get carried away too much into that. So let's reel me back in a little bit, shall we? So yes, we don't want to be run by the hormones of stress. So some examples of a stressful situation, because I want you to really understand exactly what I mean by stress. So, being given an unreasonable deadline at work, having a difficult conversation with and learning that something like your child or your spouse or your friend is going through a difficult time, that creates stress, of course, as well. Financial stresses, like I mentioned earlier, not being able to pay bills, knowing that, you can't go on holiday this year because of your financial burden. And these are all stresses, right? Let's move on. So, things might be absolutely fine externally as well. But what's very interesting is that a negative thought on its own can actually trigger the hormones of stress unnecessarily. So, yes, I can understand. I think you guys can understand that. Yeah, listen, Alex, stuff happens in the world. If there's a stressful event that happens, people can lose control. They can become emotional. They can, their reptilian medulla, their primitive brain can switch on and make them behave irrationally and get stressed out and turn on the hormones of stress. And that fight or flight response, the sympathetic nervous system kicks in. The amygdala might be triggered, and you have these kind of basic primal reactions that are inappropriate to the situation and all these sorts of things, right? So you're thinking, yeah, listen, sometimes things happen, something sad happens, you lose a loved one, or you lose your job, or there's someone or you yourself get into an incident, an accident of some sorts. These are damaging, events in life. These are stressful events, but this is where things get a little bit outrageous. This is where we just cannot accept how stress is triggered like this, because we actually trigger stress just by thinking. And this is completely different to all the other living organisms and animals in the world. Because, listen, I understand that every now and then there might be an emergency that happens, okay? And the same thing for animals. In the animal kingdom, it's, a predator's after you, so they might generally most of the day be quite chilled, eating, having sex, these animals, all these sorts of things, basic things, right? And I understand that every now and then they might be being chased by a predator. So the stress response for them must switch on for a moment, teaching them, listen, dude, you got to run, escape, do what you got to do, fight or flight response, right? That switches on. I get that. That's healthy. That's appropriate. Human beings don't work that way. Yes, we obviously have that kind of fight or flight trigger, if you will, if a physical threat is happening right in front of us. But we actually can turn on stress in a very peaceful, calm environment. You might be in your bedroom. You might be having dinner. You might be having a nice conversation, in front of the TV. You might be in a spa. You could be having your hair cut. You could be getting your nails done. I don't know. And a thought might happen in your mind that makes you stressed out. Your very thoughts can switch on those kind of physiological and visceral changes within your mind and body. You'll have a thought, and what happens is your very thinking, just your own very thoughts, can create the same or a similar kind of physiological response as though you had been chased by a predator. Now, this is when things get out of hand. So say if a lion was chasing you right now, and your heart's beating, and you're sweating, and you're running like a crazy person, and you're all over the place, you're erratic, you might even cry. Who knows if you have time to cry. I get that. But what's being found out now is that similar physical reactions actually happen just by you thinking. You're telling me just the thought alone could give you that sicky feeling in your stomach as though you're on a roller coaster ride. You're telling me that just one thought, it doesn't matter what the thought is, just the thought can make your stomach churn. One thought can start making your heart beating faster. One thought can make your body tighten up and you tense up and so on and so forth. Can drastically change your body language. One thought could make you breathe more quickly, more rapidly, more uncontrollably. And this is the problem we face. And this is why we live in chronic stress, because we can't turn it on. And in a bit, I'm going to tell you one of the biggest reasons why people can't overcome the hormones of stress. So, just so you understand, every single thought that you have actually triggers a similar chemical in your brain. So when you have a thought, all kinds of neurons in your brain, they organize themselves into networks, they fire and wire. And it produces a chemical. Now, this chemical, known as an emotion, a feeling, tends to be the same as the thought that you just had. Does that make sense? For instance, if you have a positive thought, it'll produce a positive chemical in your mind. And vice versa, if you have a negative thought, such as, how am I going to possibly pay my bills this month? Or, why did he leave me? Or, am I going to be lonely for the rest of my life? A negative thought, right? That will obviously spur a negative emotion. It will evoke a negative chemical within us. For instance, sadness, anger, frustration, irritation, anxiety, fear, all these sorts of things, right? And that's exactly what I mean. That's why we need to pay close attention to our thoughts. Now, if our thoughts can mess us up and turn on the stress response, you better believe it. Our thoughts can actually heal us as well. Our thoughts can be the difference maker. Our thoughts can make us feel better. Our thoughts can calm us and appease us. And this is very important. This is what I want us to work on. So, wow, dropping serious knowledge. I hope you're appreciating this. So what happens is, when you experience these negative thoughts and these negative subsequent emotions and the hormones of stress kick in. Now, if you do this on a regular basis, then it will turn into a subconscious program, just like anything. Certain thoughts, certain emotions, certain behaviors, certain patterns that we live by, they become subconscious programs over time, right? 95% of our perceptions, our beliefs, our behaviors are in fact subconscious programs. All that means is we've mastered them so well that we don't even have to consciously think about feeling or thinking this way. It just turns on automatically. Why? Because we begin to associate with these thoughts, behaviors, and emotions as being part of our identity. And people do not want to let go of things that associate them with their own identity. We all, and this is linked to our egoic thinking, because of our own egos, because of the way we label ourselves, because of what we want to have, and we want to feel so unique and different and exclusive and special and all these sorts of things, we actually become addicted. And we actually connect our thoughts and emotions to who we are. That's right. This is why some people can say, I'm just a stressed out person, or, I worry all the time, or it's just who I am, or I'm always angry. Whenever you use I ams, you're commanding yourself into a destiny. It's very, very profound stuff. Be careful with how you use I ams aloud or in your brain. So, people become addicted to stress. I know you're thinking right now, Alex, are you sure about this? Are you going to go there? Do people really enjoy their own stress? Well, apparently so. Because if you do not enjoy experiencing stress, then you would change the response. And I know a lot of you are thinking, well, how do you change the response? I'll get to that a bit later. But people become addicted to stress because stress in itself gives them some feeling of significance or gives them some kind of love and connection. Okay? For example, if you get really stressed out, you start talking to your friends about how stressed out you are, right? Then you start to receive love and connection from your friends or your family or relatives or your peers or your children or your spouse. You get attention because you are stressed. Not only that, you in your mind, you feel very significant. Oh my God, look at everything that I'm going through at the moment. Wow, no wonder why I'm so stressed. And that fuels stress even more. And not just that, say if after a period of time, once stress becomes boring, say if people want to change the stress response, they want to overcome stress, essentially what this podcast is about. Say if people reach that point, it's still quite tough because you're battling your own unconscious. That's right, your body is even more profound and powerful than your mind, because your mind might consciously think, listen, calm down, put it into perspective, it's not a big deal. But if your body has been taught by your mind over time, and it takes between 66 days to 365 days for a pattern to be instilled in your unconscious. If your body knows how to execute a feeling better than your mind, then it will look to find it. It will look for that experience everywhere. For example, have you ever known someone who worried about something really minuscule? It seemed like a really innocuous reason, right? Maybe they were like, I don't know, they gave some plates to their relatives, and their relatives was carrying it out the door, and they started to get stressed out. Oh my God, what if they drop the plate? I don't know, this is an example, bear with me. And you'll look over and you'd say to this person, are you really getting stressed out about the possibility of someone dropping the plate? Why did that person overreact? Why is that person being worried? Why is that person being stressed out over plates? Well, it's because their own unconscious, their own bodies are so used to looking out for something to worry about that it will invariably find it. That's right. We find what we seek. We find what we've ingrained in our unconscious. Same thing for all kind of negative emotion. Anger, frustration, fear, deprivation, depression, sadness, whatever. I'll give you another example. Someone who gets angry. Have you ever known someone who just gets angry and you're like, whoa, you are overreacting. Why are you so angry right now? So what? I ate the last pizza slice. Why are you so angry? Yeah, we've all been there, I bet. Well, again, it's not necessarily the pizza. It's that their unconscious is looking for things that they can get angry about. It's because of the way we've taught ourselves over time. And we can teach ourselves to live more calmly, more peacefully, more lovingly, more joyously, and all these sorts of things. We can teach ourselves to live this way. It just takes effort. It takes time. It takes patience. But it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. And that's where we want to get to, okay? That's where we want to get to in life. So yes, be careful of how you've programmed yourself. If you're worried and you're thinking, yes, Alex, that's me. I've programmed myself to be stressed out. How do I stop it? Well, it's coming. I just want to drop some more knowledge your way so that I can help you out even further. So let's move on to our habits. So listen, a habit is simply a pattern that we've instilled through repetition. It's as simple as that. A habit can be the way in which we tie our shoelaces, how we eat our food, how we play a musical instrument. It could be how we use our body language in certain instances. These are all subconscious programs. These are all habits, the way we've taught ourselves to do things. And the problem is, if we identify with these behaviors, these habits, for instance, being stressed out, then we're not going to want to change it. Because we love things that we can identify with, right? Anything that we can link to our identity, our gender, our physical size, our past experiences, where we're from, our nationality, our political viewpoint, our religious stance, whatever it may be, the sports team that we celebrate, yeah. We cling on to things that fit in with our narrative, our perceptions of who we are. So if we taught ourselves to be stressed out and we link it to who we are, listen, it's just my personality, it's just the way I am, I get stressed out, then you're going to find it very hard to change. Because most egoic people, most people who've conditioned themselves to live in this kind of very limited way of living, people who overly identify with their mind, people who are overly obsessed with their own ego, who they are, their possessions, their labels, their reputation, what they have, what they don't have, all these sorts of, I call it lacking perceptions, if you will. You're going to want to do what fits your narrative. So whenever our identity gets threatened, we become fearful. We lose control. So in many ways, not always, but I'm here to teach you a few different things to just be aware of. In many ways, people choose. It's like, what do you hate more? Do you hate being stressed out? Or do you hate the fact that you might feel your own identity might be threatened? And that you might learn that the way you've been living your life has been a mistake. Deep, right? But a lot of people choose to keep stress alive rather than changing their identity, who they are. Because they want some kind of control. They want to feel grounded by their identity. They want to feel unique and different and exclusive. And they want to feel like they're a person. But yes, we are people. But we live very limited lives. Our physical body is on this earth for such a short period of time. And we need to rise above this. It's more than just luxuries. It's more about just showing off to people and wanting to feel different and unique and superior and all these kind of nonsensical, basic ways of living. But we need to rise above this. And that's one of the challenges people face. So, let me start to give you a few things that you might want to utilize. In terms of getting over the stress response and reducing it significantly, alleviating the symptoms of stress and all these sorts of things. One of the biggest problems we have, and I want you to literally chop this down into day-by-day things that you do. Most people wake up, and what's the very first thing they do? Come on now, don't let me down. That's right. They go on their phone, they start emailing the people they know, they go on their WhatsApp, they start messaging people, they maybe make a couple of phone calls, they go on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all these sorts of things. And what do all of these things do? All of those examples are ways of this person reminding themselves of who they are, what they're experiencing recently, how their moods are, how they should be thinking and feeling, what their attitudes are, what their beliefs are, what their identity is, who they are, what they might miss in their lives, what they don't have, how incomplete they are. And this triggers that stress response. And, I'm a firm advocate in terms of the way you start something is the way you finish it. And if you start your day being triggered by your ego, if you start your day thinking about bad things that's happened to you and who's to blame for your situation and what you're suffering at the moment and what's letting you down, and all these sorts of things. If you wake up thinking this way, well, guess what? No wonder why you're going to have a crap day. No wonder why you're going to be living in chronic stress that day. You're going to find it hard to switch off and chill out. So instead, the first couple of hours of your day are so vital for many reasons. Like, for example, when you wake up and when you go to bed, and also a lot of people who do, meditative practices, people who meditate, people who exercise, people who look after themselves, all these sorts of things. If you walk around nature, if you like going for walks in amongst nature and these sorts of things. And like I said at the start, people who wake up and before you go to bed, every single one of us enters alpha brainwave state. And alpha brainwave state, along with like theta and even delta when we're sleeping, right? Whenever we experience these things, and we all go through the whole cycle at least twice a day, our subconscious is most open upon waking. So, for example, if you want to change your beliefs, if you want to change your life, if you want to learn new things, if you want to memorize new things, if you want to be more creative, people are most creative when they are in alpha. It's the state of relaxed awareness. And if people are waking up and during their alpha phase in the morning, when they wake up and before they go to bed, they're on their phones, they're on their social media applications, they're messaging people they know, they're responding to emails, then they are programming fear. They are programming stress into their own minds. When their subconscious is most open in the day, they are too busy filling it up with stress. And then people get surprised. Why am I always stressed? Well, no shit. It's because you experience stress all the time and you remind yourself of how stressed you are, especially at the most significant times of the day. No wonder why you're stressed. So I like to advocate, and I know everyone's lifestyles are different. I know people live busy lives. But the first couple of hours of your day and the last hour or so of your day are so important. Make sure you give this time for yourself. It can be things like meditation, exercise, journaling, writing out your goals, reading as a means of learning and teaching yourself and becoming better, more knowledgeable, more experienced, having more wisdom, all these sorts of things. Even exercising. Any form of learning, even watching a YouTube video or studying a course or doing something to work on your mindset. These kind of practices are brilliant ways of putting yourself first. Having a calm start to the day where you are in charge, where you've given yourself quality time, where you feel that you are looking after yourself. And this boosts your self-esteem. If you don't do things every single day that's just for you, no wonder why you're going to have low self-esteem. Because you are indirectly teaching yourself that you are unworthy of your time. You are unworthy of looking after yourself. You don't deserve happiness. That's what you teach yourself if you don't make time for yourself every single day. I don't care if you've got... Listen, not many people are more busy than I am. Let's make this clear. I run 4 businesses, including my property business. You know, I've got loved ones around me. I give them so much time, so much affection. I help people every single day. I make time, but I still make time for myself. I make time to exercise almost every single day. I like to meditate at least for 5 to 10 minutes every single day. I learn some form every single day, whether it be through reading or through studying or being on a course myself or being mentored. I'm always learning new things as well. So I put, and like I said before, I'm running 4 businesses. I've got a lot going on in my life. And I still manage to find time, because if it's a must for you, you'll make it happen. I don't care how busy you are. If it's a must, you'll find a way. So it's got to be a must for you. Reducing the hormones of stress has to be a must for you. It's worth it. Okay. So other ways of changing. Let's talk about neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity, the definition of it is enabling your brain to restructure and rewire itself over time. You can literally change your thoughts, you can change your emotional reactions, you can literally change your beliefs, your perceptions in life, you can change your story, your vision for your life by stimulating neuroplasticity. I know what you're thinking. Alex, teach me about this. How can I stimulate neuroplasticity? Well, you're doing it now. You're actually stimulating neuroplasticity listening to me now. Because when you partake in I've got a few ways for you to stimulate neuroplasticity. When you learn new things, you stimulate neurogenesis and neuroplasticity when you learn new things, right? If you're reading something, if you're listening to this podcast and you're learning things, you're welcome. I'm actually supporting your neuroplasticity needs. I sound like such a geek. Have you ever heard yourself speaking? Sometimes you're like, dude, you're such a geek. Anyway, that was one of those moments for me. If you've ever learned something in your life, you are stimulating neuroplasticity. Okay, you are helping rewire, restructure your brain. You're changing your thoughts, you're changing your emotions, you're changing your behaviors, you're changing your routines, you're changing your attitude, you're changing your mood. You're therefore changing your response to stress. You're becoming more peaceful, more joyous, more happy, more successful, more abundant, and so on and so forth. More awakened, more conscious, all these beautiful things. These are the sort of things that can be gained by significantly stimulating neuroplasticity. Not only learning new things, but developing new skills. Now, it's irrelevant what the skills are. I don't care if you want to learn how to play a musical instrument. I don't care if you want to learn how to sing a song. I don't care if you want to learn how to draw a piece of art. I don't care if you want to learn how to play a certain sport. I don't know if you want to write a book for a living, or I don't know, whatever it is. You learn how to exercise in different ways. I don't know. Whenever you develop new skills, you are stimulating neuroplasticity. And, I used to experience this. I used to see some of my role models and I'd be like, why is this person, partaking in jiu-jitsu? They've got nothing to do with martial arts. Why are they into martial arts for? They don't do it for a living. They don't need it to get fit. They're actually, and then I'd notice other people embarking on other things. I was like, well, that doesn't really suit how I know them. That's interesting. Why are they learning how to do this, or why are they branching out into different fields? I don't understand it. And only over the last several years have I learned why they do it. Whether knowingly or unknowingly, they are stimulating neuroplasticity. If you're learning something new, if you're developing new skills, you are changing the connections in your brain. And that's what learning is. Enabling your neurons and new neurons to connect differently to another is the definition of learning. Okay? So yes, develop new skills. Yes, experience new things. One of the most profound ways of stimulating neuroplasticity. Experience new things. It could be watching new movies. It could be going to a new cinema. It could be traveling to a new destination that you've never been through before. It could be something as basic as driving to a new area that you've never driven to before. It can be something like going to different parts of the world that you've never experienced, eating in certain restaurants that you've never eaten in before. It could be meeting new people, launching new products and services, helping people in diverse ways, in ways that you've never done before. It could be, I don't know, visiting a certain ocean in the world, or going to a certain zoo that you've never been to before. I don't know, get creative, will you? But whenever you do new things, you stimulate neuroplasticity because it broadens your horizons. It increases and broadens your experiences in life. And you start to challenge things and you learn more. And you start to ask newer questions in your brain. And therefore, whenever you think new thoughts, you create more elevated and uplifting emotions. And that gives you momentum, excitement. You're like, wow, I really enjoyed that before. I thought I was going to hate skiing or bowling. I thought I was going to hate that. I've always thought that was a boring activity or something I'd never seen me doing. Wow, that was quite cool. That was interesting. I learned this. I experienced that. I felt connected in these ways. Wow. And then you start to do more new things, and then you broaden your comfort zone even more, and you tackle newer things, and you like facing the unknown even more because you know the worth of facing the unknown. And therefore you start to slowly change your emotional reactions to stress. You become less addicted to stress. And obviously it's not just about neuroplasticity and neurogenesis. Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, certain practices will make you calmer and happier. Remove drama from your life where possible, okay? I can't emphasize that enough. If someone's stressful in your life, either significantly reduce the time you spend with them, or just listen. Life is short. You don't have to spend time with certain people. If they're family members, then okay. Just understand how they are. Listen to them, but don't listen to them, if you know what I mean. Don't allow yourself to connect with their ideas, their problems, and their negativity and so on and so forth. Reduce stress. Like me personally, I like my occasional movies, don't get me wrong. I personally don't watch that much TV. I like listening to podcasts and some documentaries here and there. Maybe a new movie every now and then, but I'd avoid like reality shows and shows that are like soaps and drama. I don't really get into those too much because otherwise I'll be teaching myself to look for drama in my own personal life as well. A lot of people watch all these dramas and soaps and reality TV shows, and then they try to enact it in their own life in lots of different ways because it's their way of thinking that they're being cool or that they're becoming a celebrity in their own weird little life. I know, people live this way. It's sad, but it's true. So yes, don't be one of those people. Reduce stress, reduce drama in your life. Find healthy ways of releasing stress. Obviously, exercise, martial arts, boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, a great way of physically letting out a lot of aggression, become more peaceful. Things like yoga, stretching, deep breathing, going jogging, swimming, going, sauna, spa, jacuzzi, go look after yourself. These are great ways of calming your brain down, putting things into perspective. Immerse yourself in different situations in order to change your mindset, your brain waves. So if you're overly stressed out, that's the time you need to pull away. Maybe go for a weekend away, go on a holiday for a week, or go and see people who make you smile, laugh, get away from stress. Go to a comedy show, laugh it out, if you will. Laughing has profound effects on our emotions and the chemical reactions in the mind and body. So yes, laughing is one of the best mechanisms as well. Be mindful of your friendships. Get your finances in place because, I don't care how positive you want to be. If people are experiencing financial stresses, then normally a lot of financial stresses are often linked to relationship stresses as well. Not always, but often. So yes, be on top of your finances as a way of reducing stress long term. And I understand that if you're someone who wants to make more money, that there will be obviously short-term stress in the sense of learning how to get promoted, developing high income skills, learning about investments or starting a new side business or full-time business, launching products and services. Obviously that's a lot of stress in the short term, but long term you feel so much more in control, you feel so much happier, you feel so excited in life that you won't be bogged down by stress long term because you always feel like you're growing, challenging yourself. You're always excited for the next day because there are these exciting challenges that you face on a regular basis. So yes, develop yourself. Make sure finances are a strength and not a weakness on your part. And these are all some very helpful ways of reducing stress. Sleeping well is another massive one. Make sure you're getting ideally 8 hours a night. If that's impractical, then at least 7, no less than 6 hours per night. It's linked to all kinds of illnesses, increased risk of stroke, cardiovascular disease, heart attacks, increased risk of your immune system being compromised, and you're more susceptible to illnesses. It kills brain cells. Poor sleep literally makes you less intelligent. You're more likely to be depressed if you suffer with if you sleep less than 6 hours a night. It's harder for you to retain information and memorize information if you're not sleeping well as well. So sleep quality is massively linked to levels of stress. We tend to overeat more when we're sleep deprived as well, and we obviously get stressed out because we're eating too much, and the sugar levels and how that takes you on an emotional roller coaster because of your eating. So yes, be very mindful of your habits. Question your routines. You might want to spend, after this podcast is over, you might want to write down your daily routines, what you do most days, whether that makes your life better or worse. You might want to write down a list of the things that happen in your life that increases stress so that you can overcome the stress response, and start to alleviate stress where possible. And yes, catch your patterns, identify your negative thoughts, identify where you are, what happens, whom you're with when you start to feel stressed out, and look to make those changes for sure. And if you want more help with reducing stress, being more in control of your life, increasing your self-esteem, detaching from your ego, and becoming more conscious and awakened in life and enlightened, then definitely check out my book, The Art of Power, Happiness and Success. You can get it at Amazon. Go for it. You can get it at my store at www.alexgemstore.com. Go hook yourself up. You may want to look into my course, guys. One of the most incredible courses you will ever come across in terms of spirituality, in terms of developing abundance, in terms of becoming happier, more enlightened, more peaceful, more conscious, significantly increasing your self-esteem, making you feel more in control of your life, improving the quality of your relationships. This course is going to transform the quality of your life. There is no doubt about it. I offer a 30-day money-back guarantee as well, just for the extra reassurance. And you're going to be really, really impressed with the price. I want to make it affordable to everyone because I believe every living human being needs this course. Because of the benefits that I already outlined. You can get it at my website. Go to www.alexgem.com. Click where it says Join PHS Course today. Obviously, enter your credit card details. You'll gain instant access to this brilliant course, the Power System, taking you on a journey step by step, starting with your mindset and then teaching you some practical things that you can do on a daily basis to change your routines, to change your habits, to become more in control of your emotions, your thoughts, and it's really, really beautiful. It's so profound. I recommend you enjoy it and learn it several times. Every single segment within this really detailed, meticulous course contains worksheets that I want you to complete that are specifically tailored for you. So please complete the worksheets that I've included. Every single segment has its own video, its own audio. What else does it have? It has its own, its own text as well for you to read and learn from. I've also included some amazing bonuses as well. And actually, the bonuses are just as good as the entire course itself. It's ridiculous. I've got 3 incredible books, each worth $50, that I've given for free about taking control of your life, increasing your self-esteem, changing your habits, becoming more empowered, becoming more conscious. And that's one of the most important things you can ever teach and give to anyone. Literally getting this as a course for someone else is the most amazing present. So consider that a gift for any loved ones or people who are struggling in life, or people who really value personal development and want to take things to that next level. Get the course. Enjoy it. In terms of bonuses, hours of exclusive video footage, hours of exclusive podcast material, 100 audio segments teaching you how to become happier, more enlightened, more peaceful, more in control, how to make progress in your life. Oh my God. I'm so proud of this work, and it's benefiting so many people. It's absolutely amazing. Give it a go for yourself. Go enjoy it. And yeah, look after yourself. Come work with me live. I do Power Masterminds in person. Absolutely tremendous, all about immersion. If you can't join me live, I've actually turned my live event into a recording with amazing worksheets worth hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. That's taken me 15 years to collate. I've actually turned that into a course as well. Just underneath the course that I just told you to buy, it's called the Power Mastermind virtual version. So click that, check it out, see if it's for you. You're going to love it. Amazing bonuses there as well. Yes, and just start looking after yourself. Start investing in yourself. Increase your energy. Become more optimistic. Develop that momentum in your life. Take more action. This is what it's about, guys. So yes, stay strong. Look after yourself, and I'll see you soon. Have a great day.